what's the path to winning if they're using quite literally slave labor in some of their factories with the Uyghurs, or absurdly low compensated wages that work 6 days a week, 12 hours a day? How does the United States compete with that?
We don't have to compete on a dollar per dollar parity level. We're a very wealthy nation. We can't afford to pay more, but we do need to produce in a quantity and at a sustainable rate that allows you to, basically, atrophy their capabilities over time. If you can't do that and you can't back it up, that's a real problem. But we don't have to hit dollar for dollar parity for like how they're building their systems, but specifically the schedule for developing these systems, the schedule for like inserting new capabilities, because like warfare is always like a back and forth. We do something, they do something to counter it. You have to do something to counter that. You need to just do that process faster than the other guys, and then you need to produce it at a quantity that overmatches anything they have. And that's where we're behind and what we are trying to fix.
So we need more factories. And
Absolutely. Yeah, you need more factories. They don't have to get down to the same prices as slave labor, but you do need to produce the systems that can counter Chinese capabilities and at a quantity that matters. Now, if your system is much more capable than theirs, then you don't have to maybe make as many to counter those capabilities. So there's also like that factor that has to be looked at as well. So it doesn't even have to be exactly equal numbers, but you have to counter like their potential to hold you at risk.
The good news is we have slave labor coming to the United States. This is a little known fact, but we have unlimited slave labor coming in the form of robots. Figure, and I know that was like, you're like, where's he going with this one?
I was like, oh, dear God.
Dear God, who's he enslaving? Robots. So automation of factories, obviously that's been a trend in our lifetime, but having actual robots who can fill in what the, singular arm robots that are fixed, into a conveyor belt and a production line, that's going to fill in the gap where maybe we're short on humans. So in some ways, does the person who figures out humanoid robotics and mobile, robotics that can be trained in real time, in other words, watch a human and then do what the human does, is that the linchpin here, possibly, in my sci-fi gamesmanship and my chessboard?
Maybe in the future, like you're way ahead of the problem. Like it's honestly sad. What quantity do you think is a large quantity of missiles to order in a year right now, and like in the US? If you're talking about a reasonable size, like long range missile, what is a large quantity?
4 to 5 figures, thousands to tens of thousands would be a large quantity of missiles.
Way less.
Hundreds?
Way less. Way less.
Dozens?
Our highest end systems, we're not at the capability of producing dozens per year, but that is like their ultimate eventual output when everything is working. Yes, it's
pathetic. These missiles, the missiles you're building, all due respect, the complexity of building a missile and a Cybertruck, these don't seem, I didn't want to say
it's a way less complicated problem than building a car. It's a way less complicated problem than building a satellite. So when you're talking about bringing in like a robotic workforce, we're so far away from like the scale where that would actually pay back. Like we're talking about, let's just automate some of the task, because you're still like 1,000 is a very large order.
Well, since we're going there and we're going to be super candid here in this interview, I like having candid guests. Thank you so much for educating us. What is the skill level? I'm going to try to be delicate here. The skill level to put together a hypersonic missile. I'm sure let's say if you need, X number of people per missile, to build a missile or to build 10 missiles a day or whatever it is. I mean, it seems like building 10 missiles in a factory should be a pretty easy task. That's only 3,000 missiles out of your factory a year. So I'm just picking something easy. Let's even up it. 100 hypersonic missiles a day in a factory. That should be possible. Yeah, 30,000, 40,000 a year from a factory. How many of those people need to be engineers, college educated? How many need to be high school educated? How many of those, people working in the factory could be the equivalent of, dare I say, migrant workers working in picking strawberries? Like, what is the skill set necessary to assemble here and to work on the line building supersonics, practically speaking?
For the actual manufacturing and assembly, so like obviously the design, that's largely like a highly educated engineering workforce.
Yeah, somebody from SpaceX who's been doing it for 10 years. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like the prior experience is super helpful to doing new things fast, even if you haven't done the new thing. Because generally, like knowing that process of how do I develop something complex and hard and do it quickly, that is a learnable skill. And SpaceX has been phenomenal at seeding kind of all the markets with that exact skill set. But in terms of like manufacturing, like, I mean, most of our manufacturing base is going to be technicians, and they do need to be highly skilled in certain areas. Like some of the things that we're doing are dangerous if they're not performed correctly, like when you're dealing with energetics. So you do have to have highly specialized training and skills, but it's something that you can teach to anyone. It doesn't have to be like they don't have to have a 4-year degree to understand how to handle this process safely and what makes it unsafe. Like don't do this. And really, you need when you're looking at manufacturing at rate, like you're really trying to control your process and quality, and so those procedures and processes, that's not like the technician's job to develop it, but they're an integral part of giving you feedback of like, hey, this is working, this is not working.
Founders, let's talk about building your brand here in the real world. We know digital ads are amazing, but if you want to stand out in 2025, maybe you need to think a little bit bigger. And a great way to do that is out-of-home advertising. Yes, those really impressive billboards you see everywhere, or even the beautiful murals that everybody loves. This is how you build a brand. And AdQuick makes out-of-home advertising easy, measurable, and fast. They've taken the headaches out of OOH. You've probably heard OOH, out of home, by combining ad tech precision with real-world impact. So now planning, deploying, and tracking your campaign is as easy as running digital ads. With AdQuick, they're going to hyper-target your campaign in minutes. Then they're going to use their data and technology to ensure your ads reach the right audience every single time. Plus, they're going to give you real-time insights to measure performance and optimize your spend. So whether you're building brand awareness or looking to drive customer action, right? You want to acquire customers, you can see why AdQuick is trusted by everyone from the fastest growing startups to the S&P 500. Take your brand to the next level with AdQuick, the smarter way to do OOH. And just for Twist listeners, AdQuick is waiving their fee on your first campaign. That's an amazing offer. Get started today at adquick.com/twist. That's ADQUICK.com/twist.